This is John Lauder, host of The Cheap Seats. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hey, you're listening to Girl Hustle with Lee and Chelsea. We are two girls making our way in sales and entrepreneurship.
We set out to make this podcast after entering our late 20s and realizing we were hitting a wall and felt like our lives and careers were stagnant. After expressing this feeling to countless other women, we realized we weren't alone.
So each week we're bringing you real conversations with real people that are authentic, realistic, and relatable in hopes that you can grow into the best version of yourself. So strap in and let's hustle. Hey everybody, welcome back to Thursday, the day for Girl Hustle and its greatness.
Yes.
We're so excited for you guys.
Yay. We're stoked for you.
So excited. Anyways, we have a lot going on, but firstly, how's your week been?
It's been great.
Perfect.
I had to think about it. I was like, has anything gone on in my week? No, I mean, nothing special.
Breathing, walking, woke up this morning?
I did. I woke up and it's a great day whenever you wake up. So I'm here. I'm here. And my stomach just growled. I hope no one heard it. But, no, I'm hungry. I'm hungry for more. Hungry for life. How's your week, boo?
Super.
Good.
Yeah.
That's tight.
There's just so many good things I want you guys to listen to, and honestly, I'm boring AF, so.
That's okay.
All is well. The dogs are alive. We're doing great.
You are. Totally.
So this week, we have the one and only Sarah Lynn, who is brave as to do her own thing. So we talk about that, and I think that's huge.
Oh, absolutely. So for those of you who don't know, I mean, you'll learn about her in her interview, but Sarah is really, really whether it's, on Instagram, if it's on LinkedIn, because so much of creating a business now is all online, and you have to have, an online presence that's, better than everyone else's because, it's
being
just
different.
You have to be different. You have to be unique, and she is incredible at
so
that.
Good at it.
So
and she focuses, what you have, you should be grateful for, and you can grow that. You don't have to have hundreds and thousands or whatever.
Absolutely.
Just focus on the good things, and you will organically get there.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's wanting to start, actually, Sarah has been extremely generous and has a 30% off discount code for you guys on any of her services that she offers.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you go to sarahlinco.com and go to look at any of her programs she offers, if you put in Girl Hustle, no space, you get 30% off.
And that's Sarah, SarahLynn co.com.
Yep.
So that is her company name, which is amazing because that's her name. So
yeah,
she's
just as phenomenal. There's so much to learn, and obviously she can say it better, which is why we had her as a guest. So I'll let her do the talking, but we talk a little bit about Enneagrams, which Lee and I are really passionate about.
All about some Enneagrams. They're so helpful and so wonderful. Much. And I love that she brought those up. And we didn't even, ask her.
No.
She just was like, do you guys do Enneagram?
And
we
we were like,
yes.
What?
Yes.
Come on, gal.
Yes.
Do we do Enneagram? Girl, do we do Enneagrams? Yes, we do. Yes.
They're so important and they're so wonderful because they teach you so much about yourself, but they also help you with any flaws that you have. It helps, it helps you work on yourself when you work on your Enneagram. And that's what I love about it.
Or even expanding your understanding or maybe your patience with others.
Absolutely.
If you know what they are.
Why they do the things that they do.
It can help you in business. It can help you in your love life. Say, you're an 8 and your husband's a 1.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Totally.
So
right.
You got to learn how to do that, and that this is just a tool to have in your back pocket. So we talk a little bit about that. We should actually get an Enneagram coach on here.
We really should, honestly.
Coming at you, boo.
Yeah, okay. That's next on our list.
Yeah.
But
don't forget, Girl Hustle is your code for 30% off at sarahlinco.com. And
and we will also leave these details in the description of our episode, so no worries if you are driving and you don't want to write this down. Please don't wreck. We will put this in the description, and I guess just enjoy our interview with the one and only Sarah Lynn.
Today's episode of Girl Hustle is brought to you by our guest, Sarah Lynn Coe. Sarah Lynn is a personal branding expert who's grown countless online businesses for her clients through the magic of social media marketing. Her services include online training programs, workshops, and even one-on-one mentorship. You can learn more at sarahlynnco.com. That's SarahLynnco.com. And for a limited time, our listeners can get 30% off all of Sarah's services. Just go to sarahlynnco.com/shop and use the promo code GIRLHUSTLE at checkout. Take your personal branding to the next level with Sarah Lynn.
Hey everybody, we are here for our third episode of season 2 with Sarah Lynn. And the little background about her is I've been asking her to come on this podcast forever, and she's so busy, and we finally got it to happen. Yes. So today is the day.
Today is the day. I know we kept missing each other. I think this has been 6 months or something.
Yes.
Maybe that's exaggeration, but it's been a while.
No, I think it's probably been about that.
We've been coffee shop, let's meet, and then it'd be something came
comes
up.
Yeah, so finally it is happening, and we are so pumped.
I know, I'm so excited to be here. I'm genuinely pumped to be
Awesome.
here.
Thank you. Great. Well, for those of you who don't know Sarah, she is pretty much a brand expert. This girl knows everything about how you need to brand yourself for Instagram. And that's such a huge thing right now, especially if you're starting a business. There's so many opportunities to do so just from social media. So kind of give us a little background of how you started that, why you became successful, why it's your niche, and let us into your world.
And that is such a great point, that it's for anybody who's dabbling in maybe a side hustle or a hobby that potentially could be something, or if you're just getting started and you don't have a big budget, social media is a great way to get started, because sometimes people don't get started because they think they need to do all these things, build a $5,000 website and build this ginormous email list, and none of that matters until you have clients. And so I believe that social media and Instagram is, I think, a really powerful tool that we can talk more about. That is a great way to start to develop your voice, because in the beginning not a lot of people are going to follow you, and that's actually awesome, because then you can start to
You can fall on your face.
Yes.
We're all mistakes.
I'd be what did I like to talk about? What did resonate with the people who I am connected with? Yeah. It's easy to find people to connect with in a meaningful way, and it's free.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bonus.
Absolutely. So did you have a business, what did you do before this that kind of inspired you to get into this world of Instagram branding?
You have a great past story, so tell us.
Ooh, I'm ready.
Yeah, well, I hope it lives up to it. So I used to be in sales, and before that, I actually just was on a podcast last week, and I talked about I've actually quit twice. I worked for a construction material company before that, which is just so random. But my last career, I sold print advertising, and so I'm so grateful for that experience, just having the sales skills and just getting used to being told no.
Yeah.
That muscle is very strong. But I will say you kind of have to rebuild it up when you're selling yourself. So I just got to a point where I was I'm circling this, I don't know what I want to do, but I know this isn't it, cul-de-sac for a solid 5 years. And there was a friend that I had up in Chicago, and both of us had kind of made a jump at the same time. And we've stayed in touch, and, each year he was building this fitness empire. He started opening a fitness boutique, and it was so small in the basement, and then he added this. They've got partnerships. I think now he has 5 or 6 locations. Yeah. And I it's so cool, and it's just such a testament to what can happen by just starting. And so I was here I am in the exact same spot. I'm moving, but I'm moving in a circle. A closed loop. And so I thought about him a lot, and then I just thought about how short life is, and not to be woo woo, but
no, be woo woo.
It's
we're here for the woo woo.
I mean, it is this is kind of ridiculous. like how I'm waiting to live my life like 30 years from now when I retire. And
oh gosh,
yeah,
like I feel that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have another really good guy friend who he plays poker for a living. So like
What?
right?
Okay.
He, and I think he's actually retired now, but because he can be. And but
Bet I suck at poker.
he was, I know, right? But you know, I would see his photos and like hear from him, and you know, he's on these like extravagant trips around the world. And not that I necessarily want to even be doing that, but I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm like going to work, trying to make as much money as possible, and like putting my success in like, you know, how much past 6 figures can I get this, you know what I mean? Like that was my like, am I doing okay or not?
Right.
And then I had like a relationship that was kind of the same way, where it was like on paper it looked really good, it looked perfect, and it's like I know I'm not the only one. Like, let me know. I'm sure like at least you guys have had some thought of this, where it's like you're in this really good spot on paper and you're like, what is wrong with me to be unhappy? Why am I not grateful for what I have right now? Like, I must be so spoiled or what, I don't know. And so for years I would write down in a journal, I actually wrote a post about this recently, like, what is wrong with me? I would just write that, like, what is wrong with me? I'm not in love with this person. Why am I not? Something that's me. I don't love this job. Why? It's me. And I have, in the last year since leaving that job, have had some realizations that, you know, there is an aspect of like changing your environment, but also like doing kind of the hard look and the hard work inside to like answer those questions from the inside and then go out, rather than like changing the outside, hoping that it'll change the inside.
So how do you do
absolutely.
that? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm like I'm a psychopath. I'm like in my car. I'm like, okay, but why? But then this. Then I'm like, okay, if I could just get all these thoughts like put out, so I could figure it out. There's so many things. So when you're doing this and you're going in the circle, what were your steps, or how did you get those questions? How did you ask yourself the questions, or know that they were the right questions? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, and
like I said, I'm a psycho.
the questions are so important. Like there's that saying, like the quality of your life depends on the quality of your questions. So, you know, rather than like why is this happening to me? It's like, what can I learn from this? What am I learning from this? How can I grow from this? What can I take away from this? And so, you know, I think I'm like very in my head at all times, and I like to be
Join the
productive.
club.
Yes. It's like people are like, just feel, where do you feel it in your body? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have feelings in my body. But I'm working on that.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes back to like, I don't know. I just listened to enough podcasts and like read enough books to like start taking little steps in like journaling and like meditating, even for like 10 minutes, or like, you know, being intentional like with my exercise, and like things can like come to you when you're not like, well, I want to be productive. I want to be like listening. Like I used to listen to like podcasts in the shower, and I could barely hear the podcast, but I was like, I need to be productive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, no wonder why we can't figure out like what we want, because we're so busy like taking in to like sit still and understand like what is already inside of us. And to kind of bring it back to like what we kind of first started talking about, like how I help, and that's everybody already has the answers inside of them, like the big important questions. Like maybe it's not, you know, how do I create an email funnel, like you, but I think that you have the ability to find the answer, right? But so many times we're just like, I just want somebody to tell me what to do. And I said that forever. I was like, I don't know what business I want to start, but if somebody would give me a good idea, I would execute on it. Like I would just be like, I would be an awesome, I'd rock it. It's like, somebody tell me what to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love
And that never works.
Yep.
That has never worked. And so I think
too, like getting back to like practical steps, it's like you just gotta take a step, and like what it like, give yourself like 20 minutes, go for a walk, or like, and maybe give yourself a week to like not consume constantly, and just like what do I like when do I find myself like losing track of time, like what lights me up, and just try to start like being more like self-aware. And then it's like, okay, well, what could I do with this? What could I start? Who could I help? And then it's like, okay, based on where I'm at right now, I'm going to give this a try, knowing that probably 5 years from now, and most likely 6 months from now, it's going to look different, but I'm never going to get to that point if I don't start this moment to figure out. It's like, I don't know if you guys have heard, like the car analogy is like such a good one, where it's like, you can't ever get lost, but you also can't ever get where you're going if you never get the car out of the garage. And so you got to get the car out of the garage and be like, oh, I took a wrong turn, so let me go back. But at least like I'm heading north. I know I'm heading north. I'm probably going to take a lot of wrong turns.
Yeah.
And then one day you might be like, actually I want to go south. And then you can just go south. But you'll never know where you want to go if you don't get out of the parking lot.
That's so important, because I feel like I'm the same way, where I, like, my friends call me like 10-step Lee, because it's like I have an idea and I have that idea and I'm 10 steps ahead of myself. I'm already 5 years down the road of like, okay, but like if I do this and then this and then this and then this and then this happens and then like I need to just like stop and be like, okay, 1 foot in front of the other girlfriend. So that's just such an like,
and that
our
ties
analogy
back,
spoke to me.
Yes, and that ties back to sales, like the whole one step in front of the other. Like your first thing in sales is you set the meeting. Just set the meeting, people. Just set the meeting.
Yep.
Set the meeting, and then you do the next step. But you just got to start somewhere.
Yes. And going back to the analogy, I mean, just like what you said and what you're talking about is like, we don't ever get like, whenever we put in a destination in our iPhone and are using our map, it gives us the next step. Like if it gave us like a whole list, which I know it can, but like I can't navigate the whole, when it gives me the whole entire like 25 step how to get there, right? And we can't do anything with that anyway. It's just like it gives us the next step, the next turn, and then it's like we take that turn, and then it gives us the next step. And so you can't do that though if you're not moving.
Totally,
girl.
That's
great. So what finally made you make the leap to actually build the gram, build your business, build the gram that you have currently?
I wouldn't recommend this.
That's the best way to start your advice. I love it.
We want to learn.
I would not recommend the way that I did it necessarily, but it all just depends on everybody's like risk tolerance and different personality. But I had gotten to a point where like I just felt so suffocated, like I did nothing for so long. You know how it's like you're passive aggressive and someone's like, pass me the salt, and you blow up on them.
Yep.
No,
and
I don't. I cannot relate
what
to that.
What is that like?
Don't ask my husband.
I have no idea.
Like, she's sober.
But that's kind of how I got with my job, and there was a situation where just like I don't know, I just had felt like super controlled and like micromanaged, and I was like, that's it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't wake up and like sell something I don't believe in, or like sit in this little white walled cubicle and just like, what is this? What I'm doing? Like, is this what it is? And so for me, I think because I had been like so like numb, like Groundhog Day for so long, I needed like something drastic.
Yeah.
And so I cashed out a ginormous chunk of my 401k. And I used to feel a lot of shame about that. And like, I didn't want to talk about it because I was like, oh, I don't feel like I'm legit if I had to like, but I'm like, no, I worked for a decade building up.
That's your money.
Yeah. Like, nope.
I know.
Absolutely.
Isn't that so
That's
crazy?
your money. Yeah.
And I just was like, man, I should be able to do this. But I was just like, for me, I needed some like foot to the fire. And like with sales, you guys probably get that, like, if you're if you're behind your goal,
Oh my god.
if you have extra time at night, I'm like, I'm not working on a side business that may or may not pan out. Like, I need to like be making more calls, sending more emails, following up, doing more research. And so it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to like check out at 5 and then I'm going to work on something on the side. It was like, crap, like I'm behind for this month, and so I need to do more. Yes. And so it just, I would always have the best intention and then just never do it for that reason. So I just went to Starbucks one afternoon and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I got a really annoying email.
That's great. I love where this is going.
And I was just
so
like,
ready for this turning point.
This is confirmed. I don't want to do this anymore. So I think like with sales, more than probably other jobs, it's like kind of once you put in your 2 weeks, it's like you can go ahead and leave today.
Yep. They're like,
That
we don't
happened
need
to
your 2
me
weeks.
last
Bye.
year.
Yeah. So that was really scary. And I don't want to, like, the company that I worked for, like, give me so many gifts and like had so many great experiences. It just wasn't a fit for my personality, and I didn't know what I wanted, so I let it go on to the point where like I was like, I don't want to do this anymore at all.
Yeah.
But then it's like when you do that, you still have like this employee mindset. So I still had like all this anxiety about like, I need to be sitting down at a desk at 8 a.m. And I would just like, if I'm not like productive. I'm not like, right?
It's like you're speaking to my soul right now. Yes.
Yeah. So that's been probably the biggest. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff to figure out, when you're doing this on your own, and it's not as like glitter and like fire passion as like people might think. And that's why it's so important to have a why, because I was like, I'm going to wake up out of bed every day with just my soul on fire, and I'm gonna be like helping the world, and rainbows and glitter is gonna like follow me. And it's like, no, that's not how it is. It's like,
Your
oh my god,
Instagram says otherwise.
so good.
It is fire.
I'm
It
just
is
like,
fire.
oh my gosh.
Oh my god, thank you.
Looks so. I'm like, she has got it going on, girl.
Isn't it so funny? Yeah, because it's like, oh gosh, sometimes I struggle, and then I feel like, man, here I am teaching people how to do this, and I'm like struggling, or I don't feel like showing up today. But I think that is such a gift too, because it makes you relatable and like super empathetic. So when someone's like, I don't want to go live, or like, I need a break, I'm like, take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break, or whatever it is, and whatever your listeners do. I think that we always end up teaching what we need to learn ourselves. So everything that I'm talking about on Instagram or wherever are things that I've learned that have really impacted me, or I'm like learning right now. And I'm like speaking to myself. Note to self posts.
Well, I know, like, because I'm a musician and I have my degree's in guitar. And so, so one of the things in teaching is if you want to learn a song really, really well, you need to teach it to somebody. And then you become like the master of this piece. Because there's a lot of practice, a lot of technique, a lot of all these things. But if you can teach it,
oh, that's so good. Yes. And that's something that occasionally I will see, like, people trying to sell things that they wouldn't use themselves, or they're not using, or they don't do. And you kind of have to like go through it so that you can understand and empathize with other people. And then that also helps you like with your marketing messaging, knowing like, I could say like, grow your follower count or whatever, which is like the opposite of what I say, but I could say that, but my people are like, who cares about the follower count? I just want to know how to like post every day without stressing out, or you know what I mean? And then when you're in the weeds with people, you understand like the below the surface, that the struggles and challenges and things that really need to be addressed.
yeah, no, for sure.
Definitely. What are some, I guess now getting into your business that you got going on now, what are some client successes and client failures that you can share that people could learn from?
Oh, so good. It's so successes, I think your listeners will love this one, is that, I can count on both of my hands the amount of people who have had like less than 500 followers on Instagram land their first client, land their second client, get reached out for a podcast interview, get reached out to be a guest expert, get reached out to be like an ambassador for a program that they went through and got certified in a health niche. And so I think it's just like getting visible, having the audacity to like put your photos of your face out there, doing video, sharing your opinions, sharing helpful tips, and then doing it consistently. I think that because everybody who, like the common theme among all those people are that they just keep showing up. Because it's hard sometimes. It's not glam to be like, I only have like 200 followers or 500 or whatever. And like, is anybody even listening? Nobody's engaging with this. And like you guys know, in sales especially, people are listening. They're reading your emails. They may not just respond every time.
They just got a lot going on. And that's like one of the things that I know is I try to be really consistent with my follow-up because they've got all these other people calling them and they're doing their job and they're probably doing someone else's job. And so if I can just be like, hey, eventually I'm like, hey Chelsea, good to see you. Like,
Thank you for reaching out.
Okay, yes, you've annoyed me enough. Let's do this.
Thanks for keeping us in the loop.
Yes. A lot of times they'll be like, I'm like, when do you want to follow up? Like, please keep following up. I just have so much on my plate right now, and it's nice. It's like that one thing that you don't have to be like in their face about, but you're like constantly there. They know who you are because no one's gonna buy from you if they don't even know who you are.
No, they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance.
No.
And so that would just be like a pro tip right there. Just start getting visible, and like you already are an expert, and even if you're making a career change or a pivot change or whatever, pivot change is like redundant, but
I love it.
You have all this experience in life. Like, it's not like you were just born yesterday. And I'm in a group where like the term newbie is not allowed, and so you get just like attacked if you're like, I'm a newbie, I'm not sure what to do. And it's like, no, you are learning new skills in this new part of your life, but like you have all this other life and career experience that can play into what you do. Yeah,
that's amazing.
And so even if you want to be a health coach and you've been selling Dish Network or whatever, it's like, oh my God, you have, what type of skill sets have you developed and can carry into that and kind of make you unique, and also, expand your reach and get your message out there in the new way.
Well, one of the things that keeps like recurring, like in the conversation we're having, is like, what can you provide or how can you help somebody? If you have something that you can, I think our ultimate goal is to be like a consultant and to help. Like, I'm really good at this, so how can I help you? Or even like that initially is going to make people like you more, trust you more, and want to be around you and use you, versus like I have somebody who signs up for something just to make money to sell like network marketing. You can read through that. You can read through that, versus somebody's like, well, let me help you. What can I do to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like I have a friend who's really good in finance, and she's like, I want to do something. I'm like, do something with finance. Like, coach people with their finances. Like, you've done it. You know how to do it. Offer your services,
Yes.
So I think the biggest thing is, how can you serve? That's the question.
Yeah, like selling is serving, really.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of resistance around it, as you guys know, because it can be done in like a really icky, slimy way. But if you think of it as serving, and if you believe in what you do, and if you have this why, that is why the why is so important for lots of reasons, but that's one of them. And communicating your why, people will feel that. And something that I've talked with my clients a lot about, and I've struggled with before too, is well, gosh, especially like our heart-centered like helper business owners, like, I guess, should I just give this away for free? I feel like I should just do this for free. Like, A, you won't be able to do it and be around, and B, if you guys have noticed, you don't pay attention to things that you don't pay for. Like, how many...
Oh my gosh, life lesson. Though.
Yes.
Like, massive life lesson.
Yes.
That right there.
It totally. So when you were asking about failures, I don't know if this is necessarily a failure, but it's like when I first started, the first 6 months, I did all these free coffee chats. I was just like, oh, I just want to like maybe this will lead to something, or I can, and there was some benefit to it, like learning for sure. But it's so interesting that everybody that wanted to pick my brain did absolutely zero with it. Like, I've seen them. They're not bad. I would do the same thing, right? But so you're actually doing the people that you care about a service by charging, because when you put money on the table, you suddenly become a different type of person that invests in themselves, and like you kind of carry that confidence, and so and then they're gonna pay attention and maybe actually take action, which is what you want and what they need to do for you to help them. So
well, and I think a concept that people need to get in their head too, as far as like charging, is like, say you're getting a coach, you're using your coach to further your education, your knowledge. You pay for your college, you pay for your school, and you pay for all of these things. So you're investing in the exact same type of a thing. So it's okay, like, to charge people for these things, because like you said, there's so many times they've been like, yeah, I'll help you do that. But people have done that for me, and it's great for a while, but then things that I have put value in, or like I've dedicated money to, that always comes first. And then, I mean, it's disrespectful to both of us, really.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it totally is. And you do, like, if you're asking other people to invest in you, you kind of have to invest in you also. So whatever that looks like, it, is different to everybody, but you do, I just think for like the good juju, and then also that sends a message like, I'm worth investing in. I'm investing in me, and then that's why you should invest in me.
Yeah.
Or like what makes, so.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Now, one part of your website that I found really intriguing and interesting that I kind of wanted to touch on is you have a section about LinkedIn for Instagram lovers, which I think is so like smart, because LinkedIn is such like a different, people feel really strongly for or against LinkedIn. So how do you, I guess, like, what's your experience with LinkedIn, and why did you decide to, because it's been so hard for me to get like into LinkedIn, really hard, because there are, especially coming from sales, you feel like really like disingenuous reaching out to people. And so what made you want to include LinkedIn as a part of your brand experience?
Okay, so such a good question. So I love this, and we'll get like kind of nitty gritty, tangible here if we want to. So just in general, when you get to your desk or a computer or phone and can Google yourself, type in your name, and you're going to most likely find your LinkedIn profile. If you've ever in your life set up one, it's going to pop up on the first page of Google, if not the top 3 or top results. And the reason is because I won't get into the nitty-grittiness of it, but it has like a really high domain authority. So like your Instagram handle isn't popping up on the first page of Google most likely, but your LinkedIn profile is. So I kind of talk about, there's like 3 ways or 3 levels of using LinkedIn. So because of this, did you Google yourself?
Yeah, I did. My first one comes up, Gmail, Facebook, and then Instagram or LinkedIn.
Oh, and then LinkedIn. Yeah, it's usually like top 3, top 5.
Okay, let's get you, girl.
Yeah, we'll do like this experiment. And so at a minimum, even if you don't want to spend a lot of time on it, and that's why I have this training for specifically people on Instagram, because they probably want to keep hanging out on Instagram, and that's cool. But at a minimum, with your LinkedIn strategy, update your profile. And so that means like a cover photo. That means a nice headshot. What did you find?
So Lee's an actress.
Okay.
She was like a legit actress. So it pulls up her stuff for acting, her reels and everything, because she was in like the middle. But then it goes her Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Top 3.
Yeah, I think you're the only person I've ever seen Instagram ahead of.
Because she's a big deal.
Yeah. That makes sense, though. But for most people...
Yes, she is.
Okay, sorry. Go back to you.
But for most people, it is like their LinkedIn is showing up way before a lot of their other stuff. And so And that means like updating the headline summary, which if you do it on your phone, by the way, you get an extra 100 characters. So that's like a hack. Okay. Yes. So what I would do is, because it's hard to edit in the actual spot.
On LinkedIn?
Yeah. So I would just write like a 240 character headline in your notes app, copy and paste it and put it in there. Otherwise, you only get 140 characters if it's on your desktop. Like, who doesn't want extra room to talk about themselves?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's where you put, like, you know, that's what people are gonna see. And then below that, a lot of times it's just like a blank spot, or it's like somebody recopy and pasted their resume. Nobody cares about that. If you have a business, or have a hobby, or if you're still in a corporate career or corporate job, but like maybe you're sharing articles or whatever, that's where you want to put links to where people can connect with you off of LinkedIn. So maybe you have a Facebook group, maybe you share your offers, maybe you have a freebie to get people on your email list. So that part.
And where do you put that?
Underneath the profile, there's like that big white space where a lot of times people just leave it blank, or they'll copy and paste their resume there. You don't need to do that because it already has that. Yeah.
No, I'm bad about that. I need to go revamp mine now.
Yeah.
We're talking about this.
So, and that's literally, if that's all you do, you're ahead of the game. Because right now there's over 600 million people. Okay, so this is like phase 2, and this is really exciting. So right now there's over 600 million people with a LinkedIn account. Half of them are active, which means half of them just have this like dusty old resume.
Oh yeah.
Right? So by updating your profile alone, you're ahead of the game. Then out of those like 300 plus million people, this is insane, 3 million are creating content on a weekly basis. So I've trended for, and I'm nothing special, I'm not writing like insane content, but I've trended for like podcasts, I've trended for like hashtag social media. I mean, just things on Instagram that you would never trend for, because like 1% of people on this platform are creating content. So if you feel like your message on Instagram is getting saturated and you just can't stand out, there is a wide open opportunity right now to start sharing content on Instagram or on LinkedIn because of that. And you'll notice like there's not a lot of people posting. So that's like kind of the third part of that is like connecting and then like sharing content, which each level gets a little bit more time of a commitment. So for people hanging on Instagram, that may not make sense, but there is a ginormous opportunity for literally any industry.
What do you think is a good starting point to start sharing content on LinkedIn? Because I think sometimes it can get really overwhelming of like, oh my gosh, I have to make a blog post every other day. Like, what are some first like little like baby steps to just dip your toe in the water? Because right now 10-step Lee is already ahead of herself of like, oh my gosh, if I start doing this, then all my time is going to be dedicated to LinkedIn. I'm going to have to write all these blog posts. So give me like one little baby step I can take.
You can do articles like the blog posts, and there's a million people right now using that feature, which is just insane to me. So you would have to stand out, but you don't even have to do that. You could just write posts. And I will typically do 2 things. I'll either like reshare something that I posted on Instagram like 2 days later at a different time of the day, and I won't like push it out, but I'll copy and paste it and then upload the photo organically or the video organically. And then the other thing that I see a ton of people who get a lot of engagement, who are like LinkedIn influencers, all they're doing is talking about their day, which sounds crazy, but that's like that's what people do on Instagram, and absolutely. You can do that on LinkedIn. So like tomorrow my post is like a picture of like my Wim Hof cold shower deep breathing calendar, and just like who
sounds
else,
great,
right? And that might be like, what, people are sharing that kind of stuff on LinkedIn? Yes, they are. They're just talking about like their day. Like a post that I could share today would be like to talk about sitting down with you 2 ladies, like this is what we talked about. And it's just like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be using all the characters. It could just be like, oh, I attended a networking event, we learned about this, share a photo of the networking event, and that's your post. And you
My
don't,
kind of post.
yeah, you don't. It doesn't have to be profound. It could be a book review. It could be like, I'm listening to this podcast. This is like the one thing I got out of it. What are you listening to? Like those tend to do really well. It's not that different than probably what you're sharing on Instagram, because you probably want to still attract the same type of people. They're on LinkedIn.
Okay, can I tell you like my impression
Yeah.
of LinkedIn? It's like a bunch of dirty old dudes.
Yeah, it's boring.
Oh my gosh, you know how many requests I get on LinkedIn from like rando old people, like old dudes, and then like they'll say like weird things to me, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing, man? This is like supposed to be professional, and so then I just feel really weird, some kind of way about it.
Yeah.
And so I use it to like look up people in companies, but I feel there's so much opportunity that's being missed out on because my impression of
I'm
creepy
on
LinkedIn.
the same page, and I think that to the point that you're making, I really wish that there were more like people posting content like on their feed, because right now it's like the messaging of LinkedIn is just so dead and dusted, and I'm over it. And if I get one more DM, I don't know if they're called DMs on Instagram or on LinkedIn that says like, thank you for connecting, congratulations on your new role, and I'm like, oh my god, you sound like a robot. I know that that's a template, and you just click the template and you sent it to me, like you're not being genuine. And so I love the idea of literally just posting something real that you did, and that's how you connect with people, rather than congrats on your new role.
Yeah.
Happy work anniversary. It's like, oh god, stop it.
I know, those are annoying. That happens on Instagram too. I know, like it's like creepy bots and that type of stuff. But there is an opportunity to have meaningful connections like you do on Instagram over on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is nice because as people start to update their profiles more, hopefully more and more, it's so clear like what they do. And like, you know, if you wanted to research like other podcast hosts, like that's super easy to like research on, or like sales professionals, or you know what I mean, like small business owners, like they'll usually put those type of keywords somewhere in their profile. And so you could just, you know, set a goal of like, I'm going to connect with one person a week if you're just starting out, and I'm going to send them like a genuine message. Like that. Because it's like, it's not just that one person. It's like you kind of have to find that one person, so that takes a little bit of time. So you don't have to start with 20. Just be like, I want to find one new person just to like send them a legit message to, and maybe that sparks a new relationship, or maybe it doesn't, but you've made their day a little bit brighter, or you know what I mean. Who knows? But that's a way to like fill your connections with less creepy old men.
Yes,
oh my gosh,
absolutely.
there's a girl, and I'm trying to find it on here, and she posts like great things that people really interact with. It feels more professional Instagram, which I think is awesome, like to see it trending towards.
Is it
that
Shay?
way.
Shay Rowbottom is like a great example that I would. She's like a
really
SHAY.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
Rowbottom.
She does a lot of videos. Don't compare yourself to her though, but like you could kind of see like some of the fun stuff that is happening
Little
on LinkedIn.
inspiration.
Yeah.
Now, I know obviously on Instagram you can schedule posts. Can you schedule posts on LinkedIn? Is that something that you can do on that site, or do you have like an app recommendation?
You know, I use Buffer because it's free, and I use like Planoly for Instagram, and then I use the Facebook ads or the scheduler.
Nice.
And so like, because I don't want to, I guess I'm just lazy, and I'm like, Buffer is like free for a certain amount of accounts, so I use that. On LinkedIn though, I'm not as planned out as I used to be when I was just posting like my articles or like resharing stuff. I'm trying to be like posting 2 to 3 times a week, and then just trying to take my own advice of like, what did I do today, or like what do I have coming up, or like what's an experience I had that I can use as an analogy for a teaching moment or something.
So what do you say? Like there's oh my gosh, there's this person on my LinkedIn, and he makes these videos that are so stupid, and we just laugh at him because they're just bad. It's just like, what are you doing? It's like that whole like eat, grind, sleep, repeat. I'm out here doing this. Where are you?
Oh my god.
Like, he's like, it's snowing and I'm outside, and I'm like,
oh Lord.
Okay, get in your car and turn on the heater. Like, make a phone call. I don't know what to tell you. It's like,
Like a phone call.
I don't know, like, you don't have to be in the blizzard, man. Like, no.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
You're in sales. You're salary.
Yeah.
I mean, go inside your car. And so what do you say to somebody? Like, I don't want to post things like that, but sometimes I feel really cheesy. And so when you're coaching somebody on how to, like, make good posts and not be, like, that extreme.
Right. Get
How
over
can
the
you
fear of being too extreme. Yeah.
Lee puts my thoughts
into words.
into
Yeah. So how
An
do you
interpreter.
get over the fear of being
Yes.
too extreme on
Oh,
social?
That was really good. I like how you formatted that.
Thank you. Anyways.
So first of all, this is just like the woo answer is like how somebody perceives you is not your responsibility. They're like bringing in their own issues and background and experiences. So that has helped me show up more authentically because you might just be a loud person and like you do you, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you want to come across like genuine and aligned with the brand that you're wanting to build and the person that you're wanting to be, one thing is to think about like breaking your content down into 3 categories. And this can be applied to Instagram too, but content, connection, and promotion content. And so that connection content is going to be like what you did for the day, or like what are you working on, or like what's your office setup look like, or what are you reading, and like something about you, right? And then the value content. I think I said content earlier. I meant to say value content is the content is like where you're sharing tips. And so, and this is a great point for anybody who's like, man, I'm in this job, but I don't love it. Or I have a side hustle that I'm super passionate about, but like, I don't want my LinkedIn people to know I'm working on this. So that's okay. You don't have to talk about that on LinkedIn, but I would start showing up and getting visible, because eventually when you do switch over, you'll have practice getting visible, number 1. And number 2, you know, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so maybe somebody needs health coaching and you're selling Dish Network at the time. I don't know. But
yeah, well, I think one huge thing to that is people want somebody who's different. Like, I had a recruiter reach out to me and like, I saw you were a debt collector. And so, you know, that was really weird, and it means to me that you have like a backbone. So like, can we set up a meeting? And I was like, out of all the things on my resume, a debt collector? What? And then some people talk to me, you're a guitar teacher, you know? And like, so if you can be different, I think it's really powerful to use like what you're passionate about, to be like, this is me, this is what I'm passionate about, and make yourself different, because we're all just kind of blending into this ocean of...
That is such a good point. And I actually booked, like, my biggest role I've ever booked in acting was on The Middle. It was a co-starring role. It, like, got me my SAG card. And
big deal.
I didn't even audition for... Well, I auditioned for the role, but I didn't submit myself for it. I had met a casting director in, like, a casting workshop, and we just, like, hit it off really well, because on my resume, I said, does great goat impression. And she was like,
oh my
what
God,
on earth is that? And I was like, I'll do it for you right now if you want. And so I did. It's like visual, so like I can't do it on the spot.
I was like, okay, do it.
I'll do it after it, because it's like very visual. And she was like, oh my God, she's like, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then 3 months later, she calls me and she's like, hey, goat girl. She was like, I have a role that I'd love for you to come in and like audition for it. And I went in and she was like telling the other casting director, she was like, this girl did a goat impression and I thought she was hilarious. Like, that's why, and I booked it. Like, because it was just something different. It wasn't like, I can dance, I can sing, I can do this accent, which is like so typical of an acting resume. So if you can be different and set yourself apart, it makes you stand out, and then it opens doors for you to show what you're best at. You know, I'm not best at a goat impression, but it was just like one little stepping stone to open a door.
Just set yourself apart.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
like to show, like, just that alone shows like you have a sense of humor, you're creative, you're like willing to be silly. And, like, who doesn't want to hang out with somebody like that?
And I mean, you might be selling to Wanda at Metals USA, and she loves her some Monet, and so do you.
Right.
And so you guys can chat about Monet and be real people, and not just a salesperson.
Yes. It's like interesting. Like some of the most like engaging Instagram stories that I'll do is like when I talk about like my facial products, or like what I'm eating, or like the coffee, bulletproof coffee or something, because I think people are looking for something not just like tips and advice and like content because there's no shortage of content in this world. Like we can literally Google anything. It's those behind the scene things that make you and you unique and shows your personality, and it's like, oh my god, I really like her, or I don't like her, and that's great. Good, know that now, and then they can follow someone else.
I love that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
What books are you reading right now? Like, if you could give top 3 books, what would you put out there?
Oh, okay. Top 3 books
I'm
for
trying
sales.
to like get not just like top 3 books that you might be reading or things that have really left an impact. It doesn't have to be 3. Maybe you can think of 1.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah. But I'm trying to establish a nighttime routine where I read at night instead of on my phone. And I just want to like become more knowledgeable.
Expand your knowledge.
Expansion.
Love it.
One that I think you all would love is called Unlearn by Humble the Poet. Oh my god, it's so good. And it's a great bedtime one because each chapter, quote unquote chapter, is like 2 to 3 pages.
Oh, that's my jam.
And it's
ADD over here, girl. That sounds
yes, you'll love it, and you'll be like, oh my god, I read 3 chapters.
I feel so good about myself. Easy read, people.
And he's a cool guy. I follow him on Instagram. But it just talks about like how we've learned all these things in our lives and then how to unlearn them, like these beliefs. So that was a really good one. I also picked up, I don't know if anybody's into the Enneagram.
Love it.
What are you?
I don't know.
So
I'm like a mixture of like.
Every time I've taken ones online and I've paid to take it, and every single time I am 3 different ones, and I only have 1 point like varying in between each. And I think it's truly because I'm a different person in my professional life, in my friendship life, and in like my spiritual life. So I'm a 3, 4, and a 7. Because professionally, I'm a 3. I think that in my like artistic, creative side, I'm a 4, and then in life with my friends and family, I'm a 7. And so I think that like I need to just focus and be like, okay, professionally, I'm taking the Enneagram, or like, you know what I mean? And I think, it's weird.
The way that because I have an Enneagram coach because I'm so into this.
You have an Enneagram coach?
Yes.
Who's your Enneagram coach?
Yes, she would be. Her name's Christy Rouse.
I've been like on my phone this whole time, like looking up all the things that you're saying.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is so great. Okay, who's that? How do you spell her name?
Christy, Cristi.
That's how my mom spells her name. Shout out, Mom.
Yeah. Christy Rolls, and then it's Rowles. And I guess there's really only one number that you can be, but she asks you like really great questions to be like, what's most important to you? Because I was stuck between like a 2 and a 7. And then I had a typing session with her, and she was like, well, would you rather do this or that? And I'm like, yeah, that. And she's like, okay, well then this is what you are based on like your motivations. So that might be really interesting.
I would love to do that.
ROWS?
ROWLES.
LES.
Yeah, and she has her company is called Full and Free Enneagram. But I'm reading an Enneagram book, Spirituality and Enneagram. What number are you? Or numbers?
I am like an 8, a 6, and like a 3.
Yeah, well, and we
You're
all
an 8
have.
For sure. You're an 8, girl.
I can see the 8.
She is
The little bit that I know.
But I'm like really embracing that because I feel like I can use that to help get down to things. Okay, but why? Why do you do that? Tell me why. Why are you afraid? And so I'm trying to use that on myself.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it? Like,
For
what's
sure.
holding you back? Why do you gotta be like that?
Why are you gonna be like?
Oh my god. Why are you like this?
Why don't you trust me anymore? This is a
God.
video.
It's fine.
It's a funny video off of Bad Girls Club, but
It's fine.
it's fine.
Okay, I have to watch
We like Bad Girls Club over here. It's cool.
It's all because of Cheer.
Yeah.
Off Netflix. You watch Cheer off Netflix, right?
I'm watching the Goop Lab, but I'm not watching.
I
haven't
love
watched
some
Cheer.
Goop Lab. I love Gwyneth Paltrow.
I mean, I just want to get a vampire's facial so bad now,
Oh.
and just do so many other weird
Me
things.
too. She's
Does
so weird. I love her.
Magnolia do vampire?
I
Great
don't
for
think-
me.
I don't know
Think
a
of-
single place that does a vampire facial here.
Okay.
They do. I
Wait,
looked it up.
where?
Oh, girl, I looked it up. It was
Okay,
like
that's
Body Works. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
Anyway.
Sidebar. Anyways, Enneagram. You're reading that book.
I mean,
Amazing.
it's a big, thick book about like spirituality, psychology, and spirituality of like the Enneagram, which such a great book. The Enneagram has been life changing for me. Just how it helps talking about self awareness and being like giving me language for how I feel and like being like it's okay that you feel this way. It's actually really normal. And then also understanding that like not everybody sees the world the way that I see it. And so that's been really good for like relationships of all kinds.
That's incredible. I think that we've, at least for me, learning about the Enneagram, and I don't have a coach, I've just like been, Googling and like reading the Enneagram Institute.
It's amazing.
But it's made me understand and be so much more understanding of other people. Like, instead of like, oh my gosh, this person's like always late, they're driving me crazy, like I don't understand why they're like this. It's like, okay, well, like, what if they have high anxiety and they like don't know how to like you know what I mean? Like, you have to realize that everyone is on their own journey, and just because you value something highly doesn't mean someone else values something highly. Like,
that's a tough
so
lesson
it's
right there.
it is, and I love Enneagram, and I think it's so useful, and I just wish everyone would learn about it. The world would be literally a better place.
Well, I started incorporating a typing video from Christy into my one-on-one sessions, because I think it's so important for me to know where my clients are coming from, because I can get frustrated, because there's also like stances and time orientation, and it's like I'm super focused on the future, but then I have some people who are just like overthink the past, and I would get so frustrated. And so that's been a great tool just in the work that I do to understand, okay, they tend to be this number, and like these are the tendencies, and so this is how I can approach them. and be helpful and not get frustrated.
Love that.
Yeah.
Do you want a yoga session this now?
Yeah, let's yoga session this. So at the end of every interview, we give, it's like the free time in yoga where you take a yoga class and then the teacher's like, do whatever pose you want for like 2 minutes or whatever. So we like to give our interviewees just kind of a free little 2-minute session if you're like really passionate about something, if you're like, we didn't talk about this, and
all that.
Talk about yourself. But I mean, it can be anything. Like if you watched a show on Netflix and you're obsessed with it, or like something you really believe in.
Okay.
So this is your time.
Well, one thing right now, and maybe this isn't super fun and deep, but or maybe it's too deep, but one thing that I'm really into right now is there not being a single way to do anything. And I've even like been reflecting on that with like how I teach and how I coach, and like, yes, I believe in Instagram, but like I also am obsessed with this guy who he hates all social media, and he only emails every single day, and he has a successful business, right? And so I think a lot of times, especially starting out and doing literally anything in life, there's like these things that like we think we should do it a certain way, or there's like a specific process for something or a specific path, and that does not exist, because we are unique human beings. We have different personalities, we have different things that we're interested in, we have different paths that all contribute to like what's going to work for me, and then what might work for you. And so I'm really hesitant with anybody that's like, you got to do it this way, or this is the way it is, because it's not. Because you can ask, going back to the question thing, well, has there ever been somebody that's doing okay, that's been successful, whatever, have a ton of happiness, that's done it a different way? Most likely the answer is yes. So I think that being aware of that, number one, and then having the confidence to like question status quo, and like if something doesn't feel good to you and it's just not working, that doesn't mean you're not cut out for something. It just might mean that like that's not a fit for you.
That is okay.
That's
Absolutely.
okay. And like, how can you do it? And I've even worked through that with just like how I put together my offers. Like, I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. Like, commitment is like it's hard for me, like thinking like that far out. And so it's like, okay, these 6-month packages, like I didn't want to sell them, which is like insane to have an offer that you don't sell, right?
Yeah, right.
And so like I've made it different, and I've tweaked it, and I've done it in a way that feels good to me. So it's just like learning, taking in what you can and learning from other people without having to like learn all the mistakes yourself, or like spend hours Googling. I'm a fan of, but then also realizing you're the boss of your life. You're definitely the boss of your business. And to be like, that works for me, I'm going to take that piece, I'm going to leave that doesn't work for me, and I'm going to add in like what's uniquely mine. There's that Bruce Lee quote that's like, take what's good, leave what's not, and add in your own pizzazz. So that would just be like, whatever you're creating, whatever relationship you're in, like there's no one way to be in a relationship. There's no one way to parent. There's no one way to, train for a marathon. Like, there's guidance, and you can absolutely, and there's no one way to eat. I mean, it's just like applies to literally everything in your life. So if you don't want to be a vegan, if you don't want to be, whatever, pescatarian, you don't have to. Like, there's going to be things that like work for you, and also it can change. So you can commit to something and then it be okay to like evolve and grow and pivot. So I think it's just, a lot of times we put this pressure on ourselves to be perfect, to do it in a perfect way, and to do it right. And then we feel like a failure when we don't, or we feel like we're not cut out for something. And we're not. That's not the case. So that's my soapbox.
I love that. That's incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Yay. All right. Tell the people where they can find you.
So I do hang out on Instagram a lot, and I'm at sarahlyn.co over there. And then I do have a LinkedIn for Instagram training that you were referring to, and I'll make up a discount code for you guys. And so if anybody wants to go to my website to get 30% off,
we will put
send
that
to you.
in the episode description too, so y'all can find that when you click.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Yay. You're the best. Well, thanks for listening again. Make sure to follow us on Instagram podcast. Leave a rating, leave a review. It helps us a lot. And we will be back next week with another awesome guest. Woo woo. Bye.